Friday edition of the Miller's Edge, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's art support experts. We're now going to be joined by a brother of mine, a former teammate, my classmate, came into Alabama with, Rashaan Razorblade Evans. What's going on, brother? How are you?
Man, I'm doing good, man. It's always good to hear from you.
Man, no doubt, man. It's been a while, but definitely good to hear from you, man. Well, I'm gonna kick this thing off, and we're gonna take it on back because I feel like this is interesting, right? People probably want to hear this. You're an Auburn guy. You're an Auburn guy. You're from Auburn, Alabama, right? Everybody in your family attended Auburn. Your pops played at Auburn, if I'm not mistaken. What was it that made you choose Alabama?
I think it really came from just a collective decision from me, myself, my parents, some of my cousins, some of my uncles, even some of my classmates, some of my even ex-coaches from high school, just getting that feedback of what they thought. And then I had to come kind of to my own decision right at the last minute. And I had to kind of think, what did I feel in that moment and what made sense from all of the information that I gathered from just meeting from coaches, going on, official visits and doing all those great things and being around other players that were playing at the time, that were currently playing at that time. So I had to make a decision right at the last minute, man. And I just felt like my heart was telling me to go to Alabama. It just felt right. And to be honest with you, I felt like I had to really make a business decision. I had to kind of think of, what team could, get me where I wanted to go. And that was to the league. And me and you both know, man, how hard it is to get to the league and how much we had to, work and do all the things that we had to do to get where we were. And, the beautiful thing about it is that, once you make that decision, man, you come to peace with yourself and you move forward. And then after that, man, you work to get to where you want to go. And then, after that situation, everything worked out like I thought it would.
That it did. You definitely ended up being a first-round draft pick and having a career-high season last year. And we'll get into that in a second. But I just want to ask you this. Has the dust finally settled back in Auburn? Because I remember, it was a little tough after you made that decision. There's some backlash that you and your family received. Now it got a little rough, right?
When you dealing with the South and you dealing with football, football is like it's everything. It's a lifestyle. So to say that it's completely gone, I can't say that. I think when you talk about my situation in particular, a guy that came straight out of Auburn, literally out of the backyard. I went to Auburn High School. You could literally throw a rock and hit the university on the distance from my high school from the university. So it was one of those things where it was a little personal, and from my own understanding, I can understand why they felt that way. But, overall, it was more about a decision-making thing for me in my career and also for my family. But, when you're dealing with, Southern, people, you're dealing with that type of, atmosphere with football. They love football. They breathe football. You raise your kid from a young age to love the team that you root for. A lot of times that stuff never goes. It stays for a lifetime. So, but I think that's what makes the game beautiful, man. These people, they're that passionate about the team and who they love. So, and, I'm pretty sure there's some Alabama fans, man. The times that we played and the memories that we made, they're going to forever remember that. So I wouldn't doubt that the people there that when I went to Alabama that they would just let it go. I doubt it.
Man.
That's awesome. Well, Rashaan, I wanted to ask you, man. What's up? It's CJ, by the way. Long time no see. I wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask you, what was your most memorable moment while you were at Alabama? It could be on the field. Give me your on the field, and then give me your off the field.
Oh boy, so many. Even Christian probably say too. I would say one of my most memorable moments was, I would say, for one on the field, that 2018 season when we won against Georgia.
Yes,
that was a special moment. That was special, only because of how it happened. At first, people were saying that when we lost against Auburn, that we shouldn't be in the playoffs, that we don't deserve to be. And I knew for sure, from a lot of us, and I think collectively, we all knew that if we would ever go back in there, we were going to win it all. And, when they let us back in, we ended up playing those first 2 games, and you felt that momentum. And you could kind of see as, the games went on and you started feeling the atmosphere, you started feeling, you start seeing your guys, your teammates, they feeling confident about it. And at the end of the day, when you wearing that jersey, that Bama jersey, man, you wearing not only just for yourself, but it's like you said, it's that standard. And you get to that point where once you get to that last game, it's like it's all or nothing. And when we got to that game, it was one of those situations where, Georgia had, in respect to Georgia, guys that we played against, Roquan Smith, who's doing well in the league, all those great guys there. It's a list of them. But playing against those type of athletes, it made that game that much more important. Like, it made that game something very memorable. And I still remember it to this day. That's why I'm bringing it up. But I just remember from, when they made that situation with the quarterback change and, when Tua went in there, he threw the ball and you just see the ball sailing in the air and you just hoping and praying like, something great happens. And then you see Devontae Smith down there, he catches the ball and the touchdown is over just like that. And that was definitely one of those memorable moments for me, rushing out on that field, seeing my boys, be happy with everybody, all the stuff that we went through and been through as a squad, and to see it happen the way it did, man, I'll never forget that moment. And from outside of football, I would say, for me personally, outside of football, was seeing my name get in that stone. I would definitely say that, because it's one of those things too. I could bring my kid, whenever I decide to have a child or whatever, I can bring my child and he can see that, hey, his pops was, he did something. He did something, really great at the university. He got his education, and not only that, he had the opportunity to be able to play for one of the best dynasties in college football, and and be known as a captain and all this other great stuff. So I would say along the lines of that, man. I mean, I think both of those combinations really, really what made my experience at Alabama that much great. And what's so funny is that once you get out of Alabama, you move on and do different things. You find yourself sometimes it's hard to come back because you got other stuff going on. You got family, you got different stuff in life, but whenever I'm outside and I'm around other people, I represent that A to the fullest. Anytime somebody talking about football, somebody talking about winning, immediately I jump in that conversation. And a lot of times they tone it down.
I'm sure they do, bro. It's funny you say that. I swear both of our memorable moments probably line up, because that championship definitely meant a lot. I tore my bicep that first game. And not only me, Terrell Lewis. Yeah, Terrell, had the elbow injury. He was supposed to be out for the season. Mac Wilson ended up going down with an injury, and Anthony went down. Hell, you went down. Anthony went down. Yeah, you went down too. You had a groin injury.
Oh, I had a groin injury.
Bro, everybody went. We lost our whole. Yeah, we lost our whole linebacker corps. I forgot about that. You went down too. Luckily, you made it back sooner than I did.
I was linking with that all day. So it was and that's what made that season so beautiful, man. It was just all of the stuff that was going on. It was one of those moments where it was kind of like you really saw what we had at that point in time. It was like either a make it or break it type situation. Even from the injuries alone, we were able to have a decent season and to be able to go into our style environment in Auburn and the place I came from. That was a personal game for me. And then we lose. And it was just one of those moments we were just kind of looking at each other like, damn, like, is this it?
Yeah.
But then after that, the committee, they found a way to get us in, and then we band together to be able to make that thing happen. And I'm like, after all of the winning that we made or that we had, and the other championship that we had, and the other opportunities that we could to have a championship, for some reason that year for me was the most memorable. Just on the fact of how it happened.
Oh, 100%. I mean, and you even think, Sean Deion Hamilton goes down against LSU late in the season. I mean, we couldn't catch a break. And you're 100% right, though. It meant so much to us because we knew, we fell short against Auburn, and that wouldn't hurt. But you're right. We banded together. And I remember that. We all had that mindset where it was like, because I think Coach Saban basically was saying, look, it's unfortunate how that just happened, but we still have a chance to accomplish our goals of a national championship. We weren't going to play in the SEC championship. And when he told us that, I remember us all sitting there like, shoot, give us that opportunity. It's a wrap. And I knew people didn't want to play us. It was a wrap. We knew we got in there. It doesn't matter if we were 1, 2, 3, or 4. It's a wrap if Alabama's in that playoff. I think that's why people were nervous this past season for Alabama to get in, because I think it would have been similar. You know, they would have been playing with a vengeance. No doubt. All right, I want to ask you this. Oh, go ahead. Oh, you go ahead. Oh, I was just going to ask you real quick.
I was going to add on. I was going to add on to it just with the fact on what you were saying just this past season, where people being scared of putting Alabama in that situation, knowing that there's a possibility that history could repeat itself. And you saw that game. That game. I think it was who was it? That was TCU. That was in that. Who was it? That was in that last game. Yeah,
they put TCU in there.
And no offense to their squad, no offense to their university, but when you have a team like Alabama and you have like that type of track record, and Coach Saban, who's arguably probably one of the greatest college coaches to coach in the game, and he didn't flinch a bit. Like you say, he didn't flinch a bit. He told us, he's like, look, we're not gonna worry about this. And for us to see that recently, to have that opportunity again to go and play in the playoffs and be able to go win a championship, they didn't give us that opportunity. I think that was that. I think just from past history and us doing that, I think that's what made them kind of like, oh, I don't know if we want to put Alabama back. And you saw the difference in caliber of play in these big time games with these teams that are not normally in these type of situations all the time. You see kind of like, who's been there and who's done that before. And a lot of times when we get in these situations, we play to a different type of level because we've done it before. We've been in those situations. A lot of those rookies, a lot of those sophomores, a lot of some of those juniors have been led by, older veteran guys who have constantly been in the playoffs, who have constantly been in hostile situations to, where everything is on the line. And when you continually put yourselves in that type of situation, it breeds that winning type of mentality. But it was just unfortunate that they didn't put us in there because like you said, man, I really believe that we would have had the same outcome.
I agree, and I think a lot of other people felt that way, and there was a reason a lot of people were nervous about putting us in. I think they had TCU at 3, then Ohio State slipped in at 4, but we all see how that championship game had gone, then TCU just didn't really stand a chance. But I want to ask you about your transition. So you get here, you're in the outside linebacker room with me. It's me, you, and Jamie. We're young pups in there. We're with Denzel Duvall, Xavier Dixon, Dylan Lee. A couple years later, you're an athletic freak. You can do it all. So they move you to inside linebacker. We had a lack of depth at inside linebacker. They move you to inside linebacker. How difficult was that transition for you? Because I don't know if some people understand, but those are two totally different positions, especially in a 3-4 type of scheme. Yeah. Right? You go from playing the edge and you pretty much your hand in the ground to now you're having, to defend the run, playing the gaps, dropping coverage. Yeah. So how difficult was that transition?
It was, it was definitely difficult. To say that type of transition is easy is far-fetched. You're dealing with not only just the athletic side, but you're also dealing with the mental side. A lot of people don't question, ask the question on how did you feel? Like, were you hurt about it? Were you upset about it? And, when you come into a university and you get offers or you get a opportunity to be able to play a certain position that you like to play or love to play, and then it changes mid in your career, like right in that climax of your career, of that sophomore and junior season, that's kind of like the time where you make the biggest stride. And when I had that change, I remember talking to Coach Saban. I was kind of upset about it. I was like, what out of this, what good is going to come out of this that is going to actually help me get to where I want to go, especially when, this whole thing was about me coming and playing for you at this position. And, I just remember when Coach Saban was just sitting there looking at me. He was like, look, I just feel that this is an opportunity for you just on the base off your ability and what I feel like I project you as and what other NFL scouts and other NFL teams can project you as. This is an opportunity for you to capitalize on it. And when I heard it at first, I thought it was kind of like bull. I thought it was kind of like, you just telling me this because you want depth, you want this. And then after that, I got a chance to really kind of think about it and kind of talk to my pops, talk to my, my mom, talk to other people. And, when you got a good support staff, they give you a different perspective about how you approach things. And when I got that, that guidance and that talk from those people around me, they made me realize that, this is an opportunity regardless of the fact that you are able to play for a winning team. You're also there to be able to play for a team that can accelerate, your game in any position. And when you talk about Alabama, you talk about the best of the best. So I had to think of it in that perspective. I had to think of it like, at the end of the day, if I am who I say I am, it doesn't matter what position that I play. I should be at least trying to excel at being the best at it. And I felt like that's kind of the mindset that I took when I went to the inside linebacker room, man. And I think, too, what helped me also was understanding the fact that what is really the end goal. The end goal is to get to the league. Now, however that looks, it may be ugly. You might have to move a couple positions just to find that sweet spot and where you belong. We know on our multiple situations of guys that came out of Alabama that have switched, went from wide receiver to DB.
Yep.
He's excelling right now over at the Cowboys. We've seen guys go from offensive line to D-line. We've seen guys go from quarterback to running back. We see so many different situations where players have to change their position. And, and a lot of people don't really question on how that makes them feel. But the beauty of it is that the fact that these guys, and like myself, are able to make that transition and be able to make something good out of it. And it's no different from going from Jack to Sam. You want to be the Sam. If you're the Sam, you used to dropping in coverage and doing those things. You want to be there. Or if you're the Jack, you just want to be able to play that edge and go rush. That's where you want to be. But the minute things change, the biggest part of it is just that mental thing. And are you willing to be able to kind of get away from yourself and actually look at the opportunity at hand and make the best of it? And I feel like that's kind of how I took that opportunity with Coach Saban with making that inside linebacker change.
Man, that's good stuff. And again, funny enough, I had a similar conversation because I ended up playing a little inside in spring for my 5th year.
Exactly.
It was the same situation. I remember sitting up there. I'm like, Coach, this is my senior year, and you want me to work at middle linebacker? But you just got to trust him. And what's funny is I didn't have to play it during the season, but because I had that experience, I remember when I was coming out for the draft, a lot of coaches and scouts talked about that, and it was a big deal that they said, hey, this guy worked at inside linebacker. It added more to my resume. And so basically, like you said, man, you just got to trust Coach Saban in his process because he ultimately has been doing it for a long time at a very high level. And there's a reason he's as successful as he is. Real quick, before we let you go, because, you've been gracious with your time, man. I appreciate you coming on. It's been so good catching up. Just got to ask you this. You used to joke around about chasing these damn horses around back in Auburn for training purposes. Is that true? Is that a real story? I know you're an athletic freak, but did you really get out in the yard and chase horses growing up to gain speed and athleticism?
That was like a little period of time when I was in high school. So my brother was a track athlete, and he was very, very athletic. To be honest with you, I think he probably was more explosive and gifted in that essence than me. And I still say that to this day. And what's so funny is, my brother's actually right now he's heavier than me. So which is funny, he used to be like, ripped up, fast, athletic, do backflips off the diving board, all type of crazy stuff. So my brother, he implemented that with me, and we live in the country. So I'm from Alabama. We live in the country. Most of our coaches we go ride horses. So my brother at the time, he was outside or doing whatever, and we was at a place, and he was running around, just messing around, and he was maybe around 13 or 14 years old, and he's the type of guy. He's very adventurous. He loves animals. So the first thing he does, he goes out there and he messes around with the horse. Eventually, the horse gets to running, whatever, and he starts chasing it or whatever. And he starts doing this more often. And then eventually I'm kind of looking at him like, this is crazy, because I never really been that guy or the brother to be into animals like that. I wasn't really into animals like that. I was more into football. I cared that much about football that, I used to go to sleep with my helmet on, so I didn't really care about animals, But as my brother was doing stuff like that, I started realizing, like, okay, what if I tried? And then after that, I started trying it, and it was fun. And then I started implementing, and maybe, this was something that could get me faster, to get me better. And a certain period of time in high school, I was doing that. At one point, I was running hills, doing that. I was some of the guys I was playing in high school with, we would go to the gym and we would go play ball. We would go do all types of stuff to just keep us active. And, and that's the cool thing about, getting around people that are, equally yoked with you, who love doing stuff like that, man. It just makes that stuff like that much more fun. And the fact that I got to enjoy that with my brother and do something like that, that's one of those stories that I still tell to this day. People don't believe it, but I'm like, man, it definitely happened.
Wow, man, that's awesome, man. Well, I got to tell you, man, I just appreciate you coming on. This has been so much fun. I'm glad we can catch up, and we'll definitely have to do it again soon. But, man, best of luck this season, praying for a healthy season. I know you're coming off a season high, like 159 tackles, so expecting big things out of it. But we'll be keeping up with you, praying for you, man, and appreciate you coming on today. Again, Rashaan Evans, former Alabama linebacker, joining us right here. Man, thanks so much, bro.
Man, I appreciate y'all boys, man. I love y'all.
Yes, sir. Love you, brother. We'll see you.
You too, bro.